It's 7 p.m. I think we're all ready to roll.
Yep.
All right. Do a roll call for tonight. Roll call.
Present. Present.
Present.
Okay. Go over approval of minutes from December 18th, 2023, the last meeting.
I have reviewed the minutes, and I would like to make a motion to approve them as proposed.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do we have confirmation that everybody was notified?
Yes, confirmation, notification was given per KRS 100 requirements.
Okay. Okay, so we're here with BOA 24-005, 3140 Dixie Highway, applicant KBA Incorporated, architects per Kelsey Carroll on behalf of Real Estate Holdings LLC. A request, an appeal to increase the number of permanent wall signs per building, street frontage, and variance requests to increase the total area for wall signs on the 2 south, 3 west, and 4 north elevations in the community commercial zone of the Erlanger zoning ordinance. The applicant proposes to, 1, install 6 wall signs where 2 wall signs are permitted, with a total square footage of 148.79 square feet, where 84.34 square feet is allowed on the south elevation. 3, 96.5 square feet, where 64 feet is allowed on the west elevation. And 4, 162.67 square feet, where 84.34 square feet is allowed. Is there any conflict of interest on this board? If there are?
Nope.
No. Okay. If any board members visited this site?
No, we have not.
We're ready for our first, for the staff report.
All right, thank you very much. For the record, my name's Patrick Denbo. I'm senior planner with PDS staff. I would like to first submit the staff report, the submitted materials, and this presentation for the record. So as was stated, the applicant is requesting an appeal to increase the number of wall signs permitted and 3 variances to increase the total area for wall signs. The subject site is located on the north side of Dixie Highway. It's 1 lot west of Montgomery Drive. It's an out parcel located to the front of an existing commercial development. The site is just under half an acre in size, and it's the former site of the Colonial Cottage restaurant. The site is zoned CC, which is community commercial, and the surrounding adjacent properties are all under the same zoning designation. The existing land use is commercial, and all of the surrounding land uses are either commercial or office. This is the submitted site layout. The plan is indicating a proposed two-tenant building, the larger of the two spaces being Jimmy John's. The site plan is indicating a right-in, right-out only access point onto Dixie Highway, a right-in only from the main access road into that commercial development, which is a Kroger's, and an access point on the east side of the site, also connecting with the Kroger site. The applicant has submitted signage plans that first indicate what they can provide under the sign code, followed by what they are proposing and asking for. So first, for the south elevation, this is the side facing Dixie Highway. The site plan is showing what they can provide while meeting the zoning ordinance. This is a 64.69 square feet sign. Obviously, this is the Jimmy John's logo with the drive-through. And then this is what is proposed for the south elevation, which also, it does show that same sign with the addition of wall art. This is what they refer to as the flying sandwich. The second sign is 84.10 square feet. For the west elevation, this is the side that faces the main access road into the Kroger development. This is the plan showing what they can provide while meeting the zoning code, and this is a proposed 64 square foot sign. And then this is what's proposed for this side, which adds a second sign. This is again wall art that is 32.5 square feet, in addition to the Jimmy John's logo. As for the north elevation, this is the side that faces the Kroger development. Since the zoning ordinance permits 2 wall signs total, the plan showing what they can do while keeping within the ordinance is not indicating any signage here. But what is being proposed on the north elevation is 2 total signs, a Jimmy John's sign that is 80.21 square feet and a wall art that is 82.46 square feet. So request number 1 is an appeal to increase the number of permitted wall signs per building street frontage. The Erlanger zoning ordinance provides that the maximum number of wall signs allowed in the CC zone is 1 wall sign per building street frontage. The zoning ordinance defines a street as a public or private thoroughfare, e.g. roads, highways, drives, lanes, avenues, etc., which provide access to adjacent properties. So the subject site has 2 building street frontages, which would allow 2 total wall signs. The south elevation is located along a public street. The west elevation is along a private drive, which provides access to the adjacent properties. This is the entrance to the commercial development. The north and east elevations are not located adjacent to a street as defined in the zoning ordinance. The ordinance does not specify that the signs must be placed only along the walls with building street frontages, only that 2 total wall signs are permitted on the structure. So what that means is, since they do have 2 street frontages, they can have 2 signs. Those 2 signs can be anywhere on the building. In determining that an appeal may be granted, the board must find that there was an error in or that the applicant was injuriously affected or aggrieved by an order, requirement, interpretation, grant, refusal, or decision by the zoning administrator. The next 3 requests are variance requests to increase the total area for wall signs on the south, west, and north elevations in the CC Community Commercial Zone. These requests are essentially only necessary if the appeal is granted. If the appeal for additional wall signs is denied, then the variance requests are essentially moot. The Erlanger zoning ordinance provides that the total area of all wall signs cannot exceed 2 square feet per lineal feet of building width on the side of the building in which a sign is located. So request 2 is the south elevation. They are showing a total of 148.79 square feet, where 84.34 square feet is permitted. Request 3 is the west elevation. They are showing 96.5 square feet, where 64 square feet is permitted. And request 4 is the north elevation, and they are showing 162.67 square feet, where 84.34 square feet is permitted. Before any variance is granted, the board must find that the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the character, will not cause a hazard, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention. In making this determination, the board shall consider, are there special circumstances? Staff finds that the requested variance does not arise from special circumstances which do not generally apply to other properties in the area. Would the strict application of the provisions deprive the applicant of reasonable use or create an unnecessary hardship? Staff finds that the strict application of the provisions of the regulation would not deprive the applicant of reasonable use of land. The applicant has demonstrated in their submitted plans that they can reasonably meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And are the circumstances the result of actions taken by the applicant? No, staff finds that the application is not the result of actions taken by the applicant. The applicant identified the need for the variance during normal permitting process. Staff is providing an unfavorable recommendation on the appeal and the 3 variance requests. There is no error in the zoning administrator's decision to not allow additional wall signs where 2 wall signs are permitted per building street frontage. The zoning administrator's interpretation is based on literal language of the zoning ordinance, which allows for 1 wall sign per building street frontage. The variance requests will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public. But the variance request will allow an unreasonable circumvention of the zoning regulation. The applicant is capable of installing reasonable sized wall signs that can meet the requirements of the zoning regulations. And I'd be happy to take any questions of the staff report.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do not.
There's no questions at this time.
Thank you.
We have anybody speaking on behalf of the applicant? If you could just please state your name.
Kelsey Carroll with KBA Architects.
Okay, if you can raise your right arm, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So I guess to start with the appeal, following up with the definition of street frontages as access roads onto adjacent properties, we do feel that the east side of our lot is a direct access onto the Kroger parking lot. Therefore, it falls under the definition of a frontage or street to a public or private drive. So in turn, that would allow us to actually have 3 frontages in lieu of 2, which would then permit 3 signs rather than 2. Also, regarding the signs, 3 of those signs are explicit wall signs that state the Jimmy John's, the standard signs you see throughout the area. But however, 3 of the other signs, as you saw in the elevations, aren't your standard wall signs. They're more considered wall art, as was described. And in that, one of them does not even have a commercial message, which is kind of the backbone of the definition of a wall sign within the ordinance. So we do feel that that kind of falls in a tough space. It's not necessarily a wall sign, so it's up to interpretation on what that would be considered. I know in the ordinance there's also a section regarding wall murals. However, that's not permitted in the CC zone. But also piggybacking on that, we're not trying to set a precedent by doing something out of the ordinary, but throughout this jurisdiction, at other businesses, there's murals and similar decals or wall arts placed throughout, exceeding the amount of signs that the zoning ordinance says. So with that, we're kind of trying to just stick with what's being done throughout the area and not reinvent the wheel, but follow that precedent that's already been set. And so any questions with that?
I do have a question. Regarding the wall art of the other businesses, do you know, did they seek a variance, or are they just kind of doing whatever they're doing until they get caught?
Well, and once we get the images pulled up, if we have any luck, I can show those images of what's being used, one of which I know has been there for quite some time. I can't really put a time to it, 'cause we didn't put it up there or paint it, but the McDonald's has a very large wall mural, which is visible from the right-of-way. So that would not meet the zoning code. So I'll just go in and say it was approved. I can't say if it was or was not. But the significant square footage on that, I mean, the total of our 3 wall arts probably doesn't even come close to that square footage, if I'm being honest. And
Which one of your presentations up there?
no. It was a PDF file. You're okay? It's the first one. And I think the last 2 sheets will show those examples. All the way to the bottom, please. Yes. So the second to last one, this image is located 0.1 miles. It's within like the block, as you can see at the top, I guess like 3 parcels over. And they have 2 frontages on this business, one along the West Drive. And with that frontage, you can see they have 1, 2, 3 signs, I guess, if you do want to consider the wall art signs versus murals, where your interpretation of that falls. On the south side, which does not have any frontage of this location, also has some wall art. And then also on the east side, which does not have frontage, also has some wall art. So again, it's being used. My personal opinion, it looks nicer than a blank wall, honestly. And if it hasn't been acknowledged, I'm not sure if it was approved, but if it was, then again, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're not trying to set a precedent, just kind of trying to follow what's being currently done. And then the last page is that McDonald's wall mural. So in the first image, you can see that it is visible from the right-of-way. And then the last 2 images kind of show the types of graphics being used, which are similar to what we are proposing today, and also the square footage, which is currently being used, which is significantly less than what we are proposing today.
Do you have any other questions here on the board?
Yeah, I'll propose the same question to the city. Are we aware of any variances that have been provided to them? No? Because I think that McDonald's, as we were talking, has been here for 30, 40, longer, since the 70s, so yeah. So I don't know.
So I'm unaware of any kind of variances or anything like that.
Right.
Probably something I would think consider the Dunkin' Donuts is relatively recent, so I think we're usually not variances here.
Do you remember it? That's been 4 years?
It's been about 4 years.
You've been around that long here, right? Do you
Yeah.
recall anything from Dunkin' Donuts? No, you either? So, yeah.
I'd also like to know if as you continue to drive west down Dixie Highway and you approach the railroad bridge, which that lot that the tracks are on in the railroad park is on, that's zoned GI, but also along that retaining wall along Dixie Highway is a painted mural. Not sure who owns that property. I could not tell on the parcel when I looked at the GIS. So again, that just kind of,
Are you talking about under the railroad? Like as you go under the railroad?
yep,
Yeah,
right
that's
on the
city.
right-hand side.
That's the city.
Yeah, so there's another example of a mural or the wall art. Again, I think it looks great, but just another,
Correct on that. The railroad owns the part under the overpass there, not
Okay.
the city.
Did the city, they're the ones that came up with the mural, or did we fund the mural? You clarify me.
Yeah, so there's two murals that you're talking about. The railroad, they're both on railroad property, so they're both owned by the railroad, and the city got permission and painted both those.
okay. So that wasn't I guess if we don't know if McDonald's and Dunkin' were approved variances for like similar graphics, that would be a good precedent then.
Do we have anybody else speaking for Jimmy John's? No?
No.
Okay. I don't believe we have any more questions for her, correct? Or do you?
Yeah, let me go one more time.
Okay.
So if we could pull up KRS 100.243, just to show again, it's pretty clear that before any variance is granted, the board must find and has specific guidelines. Is there one specific or two or more that you think?
I think the main one would be the East Side Drive as a street frontage because it is providing access to an adjacent parcel as the definition states. Also, in the definition of wall signs, I guess I would appeal that in regards to the three graphics as non-traditional wall signs, but rather building adornments or architectural details in lieu of wall signs, as one of the three does not even bear any verbiage on it or commercial messaging.
It's on page 505. Do you want me to pull it up on the screen? Yeah. This is not on that. So you want to copy it. Or you want page 5? Page 505. Yep. Talk about different presentation? Yeah. That's supposed to go into
So again, I guess to my question was, as it reads, before we can grant you a variance, we must find that the granting of the variance will not, and those are the specific items. Is there any 1, 2, 3, or all 4 that you think are relevant?
I think all 4 are relevant. It won't affect the public health, safety, or welfare by any means. It would not alter the essential character as the precedents have been set within the area, so we're kind of following the essence that has been set with the character of the general vicinity. It won't cause a hazard or nuisance to the public in any means, and an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. I'll follow up with, again, on the East Side Drive as being a frontage, and also the fact of it being a wall sign versus an art or graphic, especially that sandwich graphic. It is a symbol. It doesn't bear any commercial messaging. One of the super seal, I think, has JJ so small that you probably won't even be able to read it. And the other doesn't even, the Call Your Mama graphic is kind of just a saying or an artwork decal, a painted decal of sorts. So.
Ms. Carroll, we have anything else that you'd like to state?
I think we covered a big bulk of that in regards to the variance and such. And again, just to kind of reiterate that in the zoning code, no permits are even required for symbols without commercial messages. So I want to make sure that's kind of touched on too.
We have anybody else speaking? Okay. I'm sorry? Okay. State your name.
Peter Glenn.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Again, Peter Glenn, City Administrator for the City of Erlanger. I've been in the business, municipality business for 24 years now, and on most days, actually, as crazy as that might sound, I ask myself, what makes a better community? It's something that's always on my mind, and the metaphor that I've always come up with is, to make a good community takes, it's like a puzzle that has many pieces, big pieces, medium-sized pieces, and small pieces. So when I think about government, I think about having exceptional police and fire. Of course, those are huge pieces to a great community. Public works, great infrastructure, wonderful parks, and thriving business districts are huge, right? So these are different sizes of the puzzle depending on how you look at it with your own life, but all pieces of the puzzle just the same. So when I think about redevelopment along the Dixie Highway corridor and it's a thriving place, right? No doubt that's why businesses are wanting to be there, and it's a place that people want to be. But when I think about the future, and I think about, what's it going to take to stay thriving and to become a place that even more people want to come and be and interact with, I think about the redevelopment, and I think about, and I've seen it throughout my entire career where, and of course, every development comes in, they want to maximize their abilities on that property, and they want to have larger buildings and lot sizes allow. They want to have pavement from front to back and side to side. They want to have little to no landscaping, and they want signage. Every business does. They want more signage and bigger signage and so on and so forth. But when I think about all those things, does the summation of that, or the culmination of that, make a better business district and a better community? And so when I think about Dixie Highway again, I think about it like it's been brought up many times. Every time we stand here and talk about Dixie Highway, we talk about other businesses, the businesses of the past, whether it's 5 years ago in a Dunkin' Donuts in this case, or a McDonald's that was constructed in the 70s. And the sins of our past cannot be the grounds in which we plant our feet upon, for our decisions for today and moving towards the future. And the requirements that we have here are just minimum requirements. They're in no way maximum. They're in no way unheard of in the tri-state area or Northern Kentucky region. They're just minimum requirements that we have to abide by. Unless we have circumstances that really are affecting a business and that development. And so to build a better place, the city representing Diana Nicely, Councilwoman, the mayor, and myself, we feel as though that we stand in confirmation of PDS's recommendation and to reject this variance. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other speakers at this time? You can just state your name, please. Okay, if you can just raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Diana Nicely. As many of you know, I sit on Erlanger City Council. Being a council member and in and around the community, I hear people complaining about signage going up along Dixie Highway in Erlanger. They're often complaining about multiple signs, different sizes, different shapes, and they're complaining and commenting and not in a good way. And they're referring to this all the time when I'm talking to people, like what's going in next? What's the sign going to be like? They're not making these comments towards the city in a positive way. In Erlanger, we have rules and regulations. We need to be consistent in moving forward. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else that's wanting to speak? Okay, at this point, we'll be closing the public comment portion of the hearing, and we'll open discussion to the board.
Yeah, again, looking at KRS 100-243, that's kind of, before we can give a grant of variance, that's what our kind of guidelines are, right? So in looking at this, I agree with staff's findings, will it adversely affect the public health, safety, welfare? No. Will it alter essential characteristics? No. Will it cause a hazard or nuisance to the public? No. But I do think that it will allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. I don't think there's anything unique about it where the applicant can't adhere to installing signs that are that meet the requirements of the current regulations. That's just my 2 cents on that.
Do I have a motion?
Yep, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'd like to make a motion on file BOA 240005, variance request to increase the total area for wall signs on the south, west, and north elevations. I move to deny the variance based on the facts and considerations contained in the staff report and the testimony of staff and witness present at the public hearing, and for the reason that I find that the proposed variance does not meet the criteria for granting a variance under KRS 100.243 by finding that the variance will allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Guess this motion's denied. All right.
If I may, I believe there's the appeal as well that would need to be reviewed. Right, so the request involves an appeal of the zoning administrator's decision about a very specific item, and then it's the 3 variances. So really action needs to be taken on both the variances and the appeal.
They need to make a motion in confirming or denying the appeal,
Correct.
and they need to make it in which direction to be consistent with their original motion.
So they've voted to deny the variance. A motion to uphold the decision of the zoning administrator would be a motion to deny the appeal. A motion to overturn the decision of the zoning administrator's decision would be a motion to approve the appeal.
So you need to make a motion to deny the appeal.
I'm getting there. Yeah, so if I can go ahead and make a motion, I'll make a... Nope.
No, exactly. Go ahead.
So first off, I apologize for the confusion, but majority of the spiel, starting with the appeal prior to the variance, was in our, the purpose of the appeal, to my interpretation, is that we disagree with the zoning's interpretation of the zoning ordinance. And that being said, the 2 points that we had made in regards to the definition of a street frontage being an access, whether it's private or public drive, that provides access to the site, which in return would be on the east side of our lot, and the zoning administrator did not consider that frontage, but per the definition, we disagree with that because that drive does indeed follow the definition of a street frontage. So that's the first step of the appeal. And the second was the zoning administrator's interpretation of wall signs in regards to the sandwich graphic, because a wall sign bears a commercial message, whereas the sandwich graphic has no commercial message whatsoever. It is a symbol, which then in return does not fall under the definition of a wall sign as interpreted. So those are the 2 appeals that we were kind of trying to make, and then from those appeals, whether you agree or disagree, move into the variance from that. So if those appeals were then granted, especially for the east elevation, then we would be granted 3 frontages in lieu of 2. Does that make it a little more clear? No. Okay.
That's not referenced here, right? Correct. What she's saying is not.
Yes, so On the staff report, request number 1, an appeal to increase the number of permitted wall signs per building street frontage. So the request is to allow 6 in lieu of 2 wall signs. However, if 6 are not approved, we are also looking to appeal to have 3 wall signs in lieu of 2 because we do have 3 frontages as opposed to 2.
Okay.
Hey, Patrick, none of this is explained in your staff summary, correct?
So the staff summary was in regard specific to the appeal regarding the number of wall signs, not an appeal for the sign itself.
Now, are these 2 separate issues then?
That would be 2 separate issues.
Okay, but one's summarized and one's not?
Correct. One, I don't know that staff was fully aware that there was a request about the flying sandwich sign in particular. So what was advertised was to increase the number of signs allowed from 2 to 6.
Okay, so it seems like we got a lot of confusion here because we don't know that this is 2 separate items. We don't have any information on the appeal side of it. Am I correct in that?
The appeal is in the staff report for increasing the number of signs from 2 to 6.
So if I have it correct, we have to vote on the appeal first, increasing wall signs. And if we deny that, shoot it down, it's done. If we grant it, then we have to then vote upon the increasing of the size of the signs.
Correct.
Okay. Yep, I can make a motion on the appeal. All right, so I'd like to make following motion with reference again, BOA 24-0005, 3140 Dixie Highway, applicant KBA Inc. Architects per Kesley Carroll on behalf of Real Estate Holdings LLC. Their request is an appeal to increase the number of permitted wall signs per building street frontage, and variance request to increase the total area for wall signs on the south, west, and north elevations in the community commercial zone of the Erlanger ordinance. I would like to deny the request as I find that there is no error in the zoning administrator's decision to not allow additional wall signs where 2 wall signs are permitted per building street frontage, and the zoning administrator's interpretation is based on literal language of the zoning ordinance, which allows for 1 wall sign per building street frontage.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Starbush? No. I'm a no.
I'm a no.
Yeah. Okay. Motion approved, 3-2.
Motion denied.
I'm sorry, sir.
The appeal's
The appeal is denied. Do we have any more business to discuss on the agenda tonight?
You need to, on your agenda,
Your promotion. Yeah, no.
you have board items, which is election of chairman and vice chair.
Are we okay to close the public
Yeah, I'm sorry,
hearing?
on that portion you're completed, yes.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the election of chairman and vice chairman of the board.
I nominate Bob for the chair.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Then I'll nominate George for vice chair.
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So let it be written, so let it be done.
And staff items. Is that right?
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. So I think we're good, you can close.
You're good. Ready to close? Anything else? All right.
There we go.